Hello, everybody. This is Chris, and hopefully, we're live. Well, we should be live, so hopefully, that should be fine. Let me know if you guys can see my screen. That's the big thing. Let me know if the voice quality is better. It seems like people can see me. Well, until I get some answers regarding whether or not you can see my screen or not, I'd love to tell you a little bit about foam rolling, which is something that's absolutely fantastic. If you spend any time on your computer, if you spend a lot of time designing, I think foam rolling is great. It's fairly cheap. It's a bit painful, that's true, but it really helps you, get those pains and aches out of your back. So I would really recommend one. I think it's a very cheap way of taking care of your body. And yeah, give it a try. Foam rolling. It's absolutely fantastic. And as you get older, I'm sure you're going to appreciate it, especially if you do it like this on your side. Man, it's a killer. So yeah, welcome to this Photoshop designer chat thing where we speak about foam rolling because that's what everybody is interested in, right? Yeah. Okay. Actually, we're gonna talk about freebies and basically free pick and flat icon and whatnot because I feel there's a lot of confusion about it. And the problem with it is the fact that it requires, a fine touch. That's the thing. It's not a black and white thing. It's not 100% don't do this or 100% do that. So let's have a quick look. First of all, do you think that I made all these things by myself? Do you think I created them in Photoshop or some other program? Obviously, that's not the case. How about the background photo here, which is, by the way, locked? Do you think this is done by me? Should I be a photographer? Because I think that's one of the things that some people really don't understand. Somebody hires you for the Facebook ad, for example, right? And they say, okay, Chris, make me an ad for whatever, for my business, whatever it may be, for the foam rolling, right? And you say, okay, yeah, sure, foam rollers. Okay, I can make an ad for that. Okay, do your best, Chris. Well, wait, you need to give me some assets, some resources, some photos of the actual product and some copy, right? Because again, copy is text, hence the term copywriter, right? So copy equals text. I really, it's a bit shameful, but I only found out about this about maybe 2 years ago or something like that. So copywriter is the person that writes the copy. And copy is whatever. For example, this thing right here. Well, if we go to my business, it's this slogan here. So this right here, this is not your job. So when someone, hires you to create whatever, a banner, a website or whatever, this is not your job. Now, obviously, you may try your best, you may try this or that, but this is not your job. And that's because you're not a copywriter and you're not a photographer. So I'm going to get to free pick in a moment. But again, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to take this photo of myself? Am I supposed to snap it myself just so I can use it in this header? It doesn't make any sense, right? That would be a terrible waste of time, to actually spend, whatever, 2 hours to snap the perfect photo just so I could slap a blur on it and the color overlay. That doesn't make any sense, right? So again, why would you expect me to create absolutely everything by myself, including, this phone icon? Why would I ever spend time on it? Obviously, I could create it in Illustrator or Adobe XD or whatever, but again, why? So I think that's where people don't really understand what's going on because they see free pick and they think, man, okay, I'm just gonna Google some stuff right here. I'm gonna whatever Facebook ad, and that's it. My job is done. I'm just gonna take this. I'm gonna replace the photo, and that's that. And obviously that's not the case, but that begs a question. And I think a lot of designers tend to ask themselves, well, Chris, if I'm gonna use everything that I see here, and if I'm gonna use everything that I see here, and if the client is supposed to give me all this copy and all the product photos, then why does he need me? why should he hire me and pay me hundreds and thousands of dollars if he has access to free pick and flat icon and this and that? If he already has all those components, why? Well, it's the same thing. You have food in your refrigerator, right? But you still go to restaurants from time to time. Well, not right now, actually, but you get the point. You still go to restaurants from time to time, right? You still eat out from time to time. Why is that? Even though your food is much cheaper, right? You have all that food at your house. Most of what you can find at a restaurant, you can probably buy it yourself and put it in your own fridge. So then why would you go to a fancy restaurant from time to time? Well, basically because they do a better job. They have somewhat the same components. Let's say it's the same quality, even though obviously there's a discussion here. But let's say it's somewhat the same quality. They have more skills. They have professionals working on that steak, on that pizza, on that, whatever dish that is, on that soup. So basically you're paying them for their expertise. It's not because you can't find a piece of steak at whatever, at the store, or you can't buy carrots all by yourself and make a soup out of them. It's because they're better at it. It's because they have that expertise. So going back to the design side of things are pretty clear, at least to me. When someone hires me to create a Facebook ad or a website or whatever, they're not hiring me to make a beautiful website. They're actually hiring me to create a beautiful website that converts, that sells. Because that's the point. You're supposed to create something that's lovely. Okay, that's totally fine. But it has to get people to make a certain thing, to sign up for the newsletter, to put in their credit card information, to put in their phone number, their email, to buy something or whatever. So that's your job as a designer, right? You're supposed to take all the raw materials from this or that place, for all the photos of foam rollers and all the copy and whatnot, because the client is not gonna give you one specific headline. Most likely, he's probably gonna tell you about 10 different slogans, and he might shower you with tons of information, right? But it's your job to package them in such a way where it actually looks great, but it also attracts clicks. It also makes sense in terms of their objectives. Because again, when I create this website, I only care about one thing and one thing in particular: sales, improving my conversion rate. Because that's the only thing that matters. Because look, for example, here's my conversion rate, right? For the last 28 days, I actually made my traffic grew a lot, so my bounce rate actually grew a lot as well. But overall, this is the heart of the business. Analytics is the heart of the business. Well, if my internet would work well, that would be even better. So yeah, the conversion rate is what matters most, right? And you can see that over the last 28 days, my conversion rate has gone up by 15% basically. So this is what you want. You want a higher conversion rate. And this right here, this spike right here, these spikes right here, these are all done by, various things like, I included this thing right here at the top. When you go into the mobile mode, there's all sorts of things that show up. There's something that pops up when you enter here, right here on the left side. So all these things, these are all the things that really add value. These are the things that you should be doing in one form or another, right? How you structure all this information. Again, this is really important because I found that a lot of my users, they didn't understand certain things like, do you deliver in this specific city? Does it have to be refrigerated and whatnot? So I found all sorts of pain points, and I use my design skills to improve the business. And again, to improve the business in the sense that it sells more, that more people buy it, that less people abandon their carts. So that's the thing. That's what you have to do as a designer. You're the problem solver as far as I'm concerned, or at least that's what I'm trying to teach you through my courses. It's not just, use pink at the top, use blue because it's lovely, blue because it's calm. That's not the point. The point is, if you add this at the top, Will it get more sales through the phone? Because this is a phone number right here. If you add that thing in the bottom left side, does that help? If you create whatever, this right here, this extra bit of text, does this help? So this is your job as a designer. You're the problem solver. So then when we talk about free pick and whatever, you're basically a tailor, right? You're the tailor that creates suits, that creates whatever, shirts and whatever. So when a client comes to you, you may use the same materials as for everybody else. Because again, as a tailor, what you're gonna come up with exotic materials? No, you're probably gonna use the same materials as everybody else, right? You have only a handful of materials to pick from, right? As a tailor. And then what you do is the value that you bring is that you create something specifically for that particular client, for his body, for his needs. Because somebody may be tall, someone may be fat, someone may be thin and whatnot. Somebody may want something, very lively, bright colors. Some people might want something very professional and whatnot. So again, that's what you do. Because not everybody wants to sell, for example. Some people only want, newsletter, people to sign up for their newsletters. Or they want to grow their social media or this and that, or read their blog or whatever. There's all sorts of things that, every business has a certain objective. So that's what you do. Now, going back to more down-to-earth things, when it comes to, using all these resources, whether it's free pick or flat icon or whatever else, what you have to do is you have to make sure these elements are not easily recognizable or non-specific. Meaning, if you take this particular thumbs up, this is totally fine, right? If you take this display, this is totally fine. If you take the entire thing and slap the business's name here and you charge money for that, that's not cool. So that's not right. That's theft as far as I'm concerned. Now, leaving aside, the license, leaving aside, the law and whatnot, I firmly believe that if you just replace something here, replace this text with anything that the client wants, and then you charge money for it, good money for it, starting from $100 up, you're not a designer. You're not going to have a long career. So that's the very first thing. That's the second thing you actually have to remember. The first thing is that you're a problem solver, right? You solve problems. You help the company. You help the company by designing things that help it achieve its goals. That's why people hire you, not just to create something that looks nice. Because things that look nice may not function well, right? If you create a beautiful design, it doesn't mean it will sell well. So this is a very different thing. These are two different things. They don't go hand in hand. A beautiful site doesn't mean it will convert well. Okay, going back to it, non-specific, right? It means exactly what this says right here. If you take one graphic and you place it on a t-shirt, this doesn't mean that you're the designer. This doesn't mean that you made this, right? You should not sell it. You should not make it, for whatever reason, for the client, for the profit, or for the whatever. This doesn't make sense, right? And even if you do it, whether it's for the client or your own company or whatever, you're not really a designer, right? You're just a template editor, right? So you have to be really careful about that. Now, what you have to do is you can include it in a larger design. In a larger design where you can see the crab is only a small part of it. It's not the biggest thing, right? It's not the central element. The same thing with the background, right? This is non-specific. People won't be able to easily recognize it. And even if they do recognize, for example, this crab right here, even if they do recognize it, because it's such a small part of it, it's fine. It's not a problem. It's the same thing here. I mean, I'm sure some people may recognize these pyramids or whatever, triangles, Illuminati confirmed. So even though, well, by the way, I should create some vibrance here for me. I'm looking a bit pale, so I might need something, to liven me up. Yeah. Okay. So even though some people may actually recognize these elements, these aren't the central point. These aren't the thing that makes this design lovely, right? It's a myriad of things. It's all sorts of things that go well together, right? The spacing, the colors, the fonts, the whatnot. And again, the same thing for this part right here. This part, this is where it came from, right? So I took this part, I multiplied it, I flipped it, I changed the blending mode, and then this is the end result, right? So I started with this thing right here. I made the copy, I flipped it, I put it together. The overlap wasn't good. I changed the blending mode to darken, and then I made another copy of these two. So that's what I did. Now, again, is this stealing? No, it's not. Am I a template editor? No, I'm not. Because the entire thing is beautiful. The entire thing is well put together. It's well executed, right? So that's what you really have to wrap your head around. Now, going towards more complicated things, I bought a subscription on both FreePic and FlatIcon because I'm constantly creating materials for my businesses, for this website and other websites, right? So I bought them not for my clients, but for me, because as you can see, I'm constantly doing this or that. I actually didn't create these myself. Someone else from my company did. But you get the point. I bought them just so I can use them for my own personal projects, right? Now, if you plan on using this or that, if you plan on using various things for your clients, you shouldn't buy them. You shouldn't buy them. The client has to buy them. The client has to buy them because if at a certain point the person who created this particular crab says, "Hey, look, someone used the crab on this website. Let me see if they bought it." Because if they didn't buy it, then that's a problem. They're breaking the law. They're using my work without my permission, without paying me, right? So that's a legal problem, right? So what they do is the person that created this crab is gonna contact me, the owner of this website, and he's gonna ask, "Hey, did you pay for it?" Now, the owner of the site, in this case, that's me, the designer, but obviously that's a specific scenario. The owner of the website can't tell the designer, can't tell the creator of this crab, "Hey, you know what? This guy actually created it. It was a guy from 99 Designs. It was a guy from Fiverr. It was a guy from Romania or India or whatever." It doesn't work that way. So the company has to buy a subscription for at least a month, and that company has to have an invoice for it. So when the owner of this crab asks, "Hey, did you buy it?" the company can say, "Yeah, here's my invoice. Here's my invoice from freepik.com." And that's that. So again, you shouldn't buy it under the assumption that if you buy it, you won't have to disclose it to your client. You shouldn't buy it thinking that, well, if you buy it, you can use it for 110 clients, 1,000 clients without them knowing about it. That's not the way it works, right? So this brings me to the next point, which is very uncomfortable, because not all clients are going to appreciate you using these resources, right? And it's the same thing going back to free stuff. So when you search for a girl, I'm not sure how much time you spend on the web, but I've seen this girl countless times. I've seen it in all sorts of things, from websites to Facebook ads to whatever. I know this girl by heart because she's striking, right? It's an attractive woman. She's really smiling. I'm tempted to use it. But guess what? Unsplash is not my own personal website. It's not a hidden gem. It's not a piece of treasure that I alone discovered. Everybody knows about Unsplash. Everybody knows about it, right? So when you use it and you include it in a Facebook ad or whatever, and you show it to your client, and then that client, after a day, after a month, after the year, after he sees this girl in another place, he's likely gonna be upset about it. He's likely gonna be upset about it because, hey, man, I hired you to create me an ad, and what did you do? Did you steal something from someplace else? Because I saw that girl on a billboard. I saw that girl, whatever, in another ad, whatever. He's likely gonna be upset. So that's the problem when you use things from the internet that are readily available. Because again, Unsplash is totally free, right? Now, free pick, on the other hand, is not free, so your chances of getting caught, quote unquote, go down. But still, if you want to be totally fine with your client, you have to do something like this. So I combined here a lot of things in such a way where, again, it doesn't look like anything that's available on FreePick. Same thing at the bottom. So I use this in a totally different way where it's not easily recognizable. It's not the fact that I'm trying to hide that I used it. That's not the point. The point is that I tried to make it my own. That I tried to create something for that specific client to match his needs. That's the point. That's the goal, right? So you really have to be careful about it. You really have to be careful and integrate all these things in such a way where it's original. Because I've seen countless designs where you take this illustration, you place it, in a header, in the hero area, in the top right side, everything is white, and you place it here, and that's it. That's the hero area. That's not good enough, I don't think that's good enough. Now, where you draw the line is up to you. Because, when I create stuff for my own company, for my Instagram or for the Facebook, I'm using memes and whatnot. When I create something for my own company, my tolerance is actually lower. I'm more than happy to steal this, for example, again, quote unquote. I'm happy to use it as it is because I know the deal. It's for my own use. I paid it. It's totally legal to use it as is, right? Because that's what the license says. And I'm happy to use it, even though, some people may say, hey, Chris, you're the designer. Why are you using freebies? Because I'm efficient, because I'm trying to be as productive as possible, right? But that's me because it's my own company, right? So when some people see my website and they see something right here and they say, hey, this pop-up, this contains a picture that's free to use. That's totally fine. You haven't caught me with my pants down. I'm not ashamed of using, things that are available on the web. Because again, this is my company. Look, this photo, for example, this is free to use. And again, look, this one right here, this is free to use, this yellow photo. Again, I'm not ashamed by it because I shouldn't be ashamed by it. Because again, my goal is, again, to get people to click on it, to get sales and whatnot, to newsletter subscribers or whatever, get people to actually buy this course or whatever. So I'm trying to be smart about it. And again, my tolerance, because this is my own business, I can use stuff like this without any editing. I mostly try and edit it. I mostly try and make them my own. I rarely just, copy paste it, just replace the text and that's it. In very rare cases do I do that. But that's because it's my company now. As you go towards working for other people and the budget becomes higher and higher, you should do your best to combine these elements. You should do your best to make it, into something completely different. Now, if we're talking about Fiverr, obviously you can't really do anything all that custom, right? But if we're talking about, $400, $500, $800, $1,000, the higher the price, the more I try and edit them, the more I try to make them different into something completely unique, right? Even though, again, I may take this envelope, I may take this color scheme, I may take whatever, this or that. Look, for example, this thing right here underneath, wow. So even though I may take different things, this layout or whatever, look, for example, this layout or whatever, even though I may take various stuff, the higher the price, the more I'm going to change it. So that's how you should actually go about it. So again, a quick recap. First of all, you're the problem solver. As a business owner, I don't want you to create stuff just because it looks nice. I want you to create stuff that will help my business, that will help grow my business, that will help grow my Instagram followers, that will help my sales, that will help people not abandon their carts when they try and shop, this or that, right? So that's the number one thing. The second thing is you have to make sure that your client actually pays for all these things that you're about to use. And the third thing is, as the price goes up, the more you should customize these freebies, the more you should actually make sure you adjust them so they're basically unrecognizable. That would be the end goal. That should be your objective when you go into it, right? I'm gonna take all these things and I'm gonna combine them in such a way where nobody is gonna be able to identify them. You may fail, you may not go full 100%, but even if you go 80% towards that goal, that's still good enough, right? Even though, again, some parts or some people may be able to recognize this or that, at least that was your objective, right? To make it as custom as possible. But again, this only applies when you're going towards projects that are decent in pay. If we're talking about micro jobs, $5, $10, everything goes out the window. Now, let me see. Noise suppression, this is difficult because basically, in short, you guys have to boost the server in order to actually get higher quality. It's not the noise suppression problem. The problem is the bit rate. As more people donate or whatever, they boost the server, the audio quality goes up. Yeah. So overall, that's how I like to use free pick and flat icon. Please let me know if you guys have any questions, because I went through a lot of things. And if you haven't been following along from the start, I'm sure that you might have missed a few things. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I spent a long time recording today, at least think about 2.5 hours in total. But yeah, I really didn't want to miss. This chat. Noise suppression. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Kingy, whatever. Now, just real quick about all these free websites, mine included. So before I had free pick and I had all sorts of projects, basically 99 designs and whatnot. So what happened was I was looking for the freebies that I could use without paying, because I didn't have any money, which is, I'm sure, very common. Now, there are a few sites like 365.com. There are various things, like freebies, fluxes, and whatnot. But basically, they're a waste of time. They're a waste of time because you're very likely to not find what you're looking for. The problem is the inventory is way too small. I mean, even for my own website, I think I only have about a couple of hundred, probably whatever, about 2, 3, maybe 400 freebies. So it's very unlikely that you'll find something that will fit your specific project. So this is where free pick and flat icon really shine, because they have so many resources. I really think that's the best way to go about it. Okay, so noise suppression is actually horrible. So I'm gonna switch it back. Sorry about that. By the way, real quick before we end, I am going to publish these sessions on YouTube. I just didn't have time for it. So hopefully when it's gonna be up on YouTube, you'll have a better quality. But I prefer doing it live just because I can read your questions and see your feedback and whatnot. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm really sorry that some of you guys didn't hear me right. Again, if needed, we're probably gonna switch to YouTube Live or Twitch or whatever. But yeah, what matters most is that we have fun with it, and hopefully I can provide you with great information that you can actually use, especially things like, again, the conversion rate and whatnot, because I really feel like this is something that's really missing, because a lot of designers and teachers and instructors, they will show you how to use the brush tool or whatever, hey, here's the flow, you can adjust the flow and make it like that, and if you want to make it smoother, you can ramp up this smoothing value. But those aren't actually what matter most. What matters most is actually sales. What matters most is you actually talking to the client and telling him, hey, you know what, let's move the social media icons at the top and add the phone number here, because from what I've seen in my previous projects, those can help boost sales. So that's where the client is really going to be happy. That's where the client is gonna hire you, from 99 designs, just 1 or 3 pages, to do whatever, 10, 20, 15 pages, right? Whatever the number of pages, or create an app, or create whatever. So I think that's where your value should really, your strong point should really lie. That's what you have to offer. And if you offer those services, I can assure you, you're going to be making a few $1,000s per month without any problems. But being a problem solver is difficult, because if you don't have access to these analytics, then it's really tough. What I advise you to do is most likely do some sessions with your client and ask him about his analytics, right? Because obviously there will be cases where there won't be any website. The business won't have any existing business and whatnot. But chances are you're going to find people with some history, right? And then you can easily do a screen sharing session and you can ask him, hey, how about your conversion rate before? How about whatever, this or that? How about your bounce rate? How many people, use mobile, for example, their mobile phones? Because, for example, look, my website has about 90%, 88% mobile, right? 88% mobile. So then it doesn't really matter what I do here in the desktop version, right? And if the client, assuming there's a client for this specific website, if the client wants to say something about the desktop version, I'm going to say, hey, you know what? Hey, Mr. Client, 88% is on mobile. Let's do something about that. But even though 88% is on mobile, we have to check the revenue, because the revenue may be greater overall, right? So it's all sorts of things that really make sense, that you have to make sure that you dig into it. But for that to happen, you actually have to talk to your client. You have to have good, decent communication skills, and really get into it. So then after you see various cases, the next client that you're going to talk to, in that 99 designs comment, you're going to say something like, hey, you know what, let's do this or that. I don't agree with your changes. Let's do the following. I suggest we do the following because I saw that this can increase sales or whatever, right? So yeah, that's how I see things. Thank you so much. Again, we're going to continue to do these sessions. The next one is going to be on Wednesday. This was the session for Sunday, 21st of June. I forgot to mention that at the start of it. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll speak to you soon. Goodbye.